Hello again, new game here, and we're going to look at one game, actually two games here from the Indian Championship in 2022. Gukesh shared first prize with Agaisi, who we will look at a lot of games later, I guess, and also Inian, who I don't know. So choosing two games here. First game against Gupta, who got like here sixth place, who actually I have played and I won against. So it's fun to see. Gukesh play a player that I have won against. So Gupta is white and Gukesh is black, and they're playing an opening that I think is quite interesting. It's the Samish variation in the Gupta is playing the Samish variation with this one with A3. It's an interesting line. It's a risk. It's not so popular at Grandmaster level, but it's quite an interesting opening here. So apparently the computer doesn't like bishop g5. I thought maybe you should wait with this one until black has castled, because let's say you do like something maybe here. Like if black would castle, then this would be very strong. Then this pin would be extremely annoying for black, threatening maybe e5 here. Of course black can do this, but good chances here for white to get some play. Maybe castle, maybe here, I don't know. And because now what he plays h6 and g5 is not, I'm sure this is too risky, because he can just take here, yeah. And white is already winning here, of course. So what black used to do is he used to like play h6 himself, used to avoid this nasty pin here before he castles, but Gupta did it now, and then of course our guy Gukesh can kick the bishop and maybe castle long, or keep the king in the center. It's also a fine way to play for both players, I think. Black's plan here is always to win this pawn. This pawn is like maybe it's almost like lost, and white doesn't really want to have his pieces just be, for example, he doesn't want to have his queen just defending this pawn here, and sometimes black might play c5, maybe rook here, and then it's just going to get lost. So sometimes what white sometimes does, it's that he plays this himself and just sack a pawn. Apparently it's, can't you, no, okay, if you check down c6, maybe something like this. Yeah, you can see it's good for white already, but he should take like this, obviously. So this is a little bit of a strategy here, and of course often he probably can't win it now because of this check. For example, knight here, it's check with the queen, and bishop here take check with the queen, so he can't win it now, but now he threatens to win the pawn. Yeah, e5 looks better actually. White kind of wants, because there is a book by Joseph Dorfman. He has this theory that a lot of chess players use as a guideline. It was very popular book for 20 years ago, but I don't hear so much about it. But 20 years ago it was like the thing everything was talking about. So this Dorfman's theory, he's thinking like this: who has the structural advantage? And clearly here black has the structural advantage here, and because of that it makes sense that if it becomes slow game, if white doesn't do anything, because its opponent has like the positional advantage, his position will just get worse and worse. So what white wants to do here, who has the positional disadvantage because of this weak pawn here on c4 and the double pawns, is that he needs to change the position by changing the character of the position, because in the long run it's just bad for him. So often you should think about like who has the positional advantage, and here it's clearly black because this is weak. So it's good for white here to change the character of position. And notice also that white is better here. White has the better position, but he's structurally positionally worse, so he needs to change the position. And Gupta tries with d5, but e5 looks like it's more forceful, like the computer says. Let's see what was recommended here. Something like this. Okay, he has to castle now. Okay, something like this the computer thinks is good for white. Basically, white has managed to change the position here, trading pieces, every chance to maybe attack the black king here. So that was the correct for white to change the position. Gupta pushed the wrong pawn here. And here black makes what to me looks like a mistake. I've read Nimzovic's book My System. It's this like 100-year-old book that talks about pawn structures, and looks like the best is to take here. But let's just this doesn't really work now because c5, but Nimzovic points is that in this pawn structure here, this pawn structure is good for black in the long run, because this pawn is very weak. So this is good pawn structure for black. Now it doesn't work because white can play c6 here and attack the queen and gets a good pawn structure with the pawn here. So white is actually winning here. But let's just say white does a random move here. Then this pawn structure, which often can come in the Nimzo-Indian also, this one pawn structure, let's say that he can't take dc6 here, it's just this pawn structure here. Nimzovic says this pawn structure is, for some reason, I don't really understand why, he thinks this pawn structure is relatively even because white can get some counterplay on the king side. So his point is that it's better to have the pawn on c7 than on c5. These kind of old guidelines by Nimzovic, I'm not so sure if they are objectively correct, but that's something that I have thought about when I played the Nimzo-Indian. So because of this c5 here is anti it's anti the what Nimzovic thought. But as you can see here, there was no hurry to play this one. Black could have taken at once. It's strange why he didn't do that. Maybe he thought that this was some kind of problem here, but it was no problem here. So black is better here if he just takes the pawn. Maybe he could go here. Yeah. Doesn't look so threatening. So he does this one. Sometimes, let's just say he does something else. Sometimes black plays something like this just to provoke something here in the center. It was interesting, actually interesting that they're playing a little bit different what I thought was best here. So here he plays this move that I don't think Nimzovic would like really, because white has played here without being provoked. But now white get the chance to take here. Let's see how that is. And looks right, he took with a knight. Looks better to take with a queen here, even if he can get like okay, can't go here because c5 tactics. Maybe here. Okay, now he gets the chance to straighten out the structure. I wasn't so sure about c5, but let's see. Now he basically has to play like this. So let's see what happens. Of course, this is like chronically weak pawn, like especially now when the c file is open, this is doomed. So maybe it's correct by Gukesh to not take it and just wait here. Maybe that's the correct way to play. Okay, and now he takes it. Couldn't white play like this and cover it, but it's just no. Yeah, you don't want to sit and just guard that pawn either. So now it was time to take it apparently. Okay, and he managed to trade. Okay, but that's actually good for white to trade. Trade those bishops. Interesting. And it's interesting that he wins a pawn, but it's still the position is better for white because I guess there is possibilities to get play in the center here. Let's see what happened. So it's interesting. Black has won 2 pawns, but suddenly white is better because of the play. And this is like what can happen in this Nimsuin and this Samish stuff, that if the position if black can keep the position closed, is probably better, but once it gets open, white gets some chances here. So Gupta plays correctly here, sacrificing 1 more pawn for initiative. But yeah, we have seen this quite a lot. Gukesh playing risky gets like taking and winning material, but then gets under strong attacks here. He's going back with the king. That's the best move. Has to defend f7. They're playing good moves here. Okay, so he should have played g4 here, not giving up that pawn. Gupta has this h pawn, that's his trump card, but Gukesh has gotten his king a bit safer here in the corner, the queen side. So it's a relatively even game now. Reminds me a little bit of I think next game we're going to see one of my favorite opening, the Botvinnik variation in the Slav, and this is a little bit like that. Black has passers here and white has here. It's a little bit like that. Interesting here. Yeah, it's good. Definitely would be good for black to get this knight more active here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, black actually has the safer king now, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. It's a completely unclear position here, but he could also take here. Yeah, maybe it looked good to push this passer, but maybe it can get weak and the king is in the way here. Okay, so queen e5 was an alternative. Let's see what happened. Here I was a little bit surprised, but we have seen so many games where Gukesh either wins the queen for pieces or sacks his queen for pieces. I thought for sure he would sack his queen here for pieces. Something like this. And apparently this is because the weakness of the king, it's good for black here. What if this one defending here? No way, is the queen trapped here? No, you can go here. Okay, the pawn is too strong now. Interesting. So black is winning now. Yeah, Gukesh did. Yeah, obviously didn't see here that, or he would sack the queen. But I thought just it was Gukesh style to sack the queen here, but he didn't do that. He did go back. Apparently the computer also thinks this was good, better way to keep. Yeah, I've said that lots of times here, that when you have an active queen, you don't want to go back. You want to keep it active because it harasses the pieces. Unless, if you, of course, if you lose the queen, you have to go back. But if you don't lose it, then you should keep it active to harass pieces. That's b2 is better square, of course. Okay, so now the material is equal, and we're going to an endgame. Now actually it's pawn up for black because he can take h5 here. So he likes, the computer likes knight c4 here. Ah, I see. He wants to play this endgame. Yeah, but this might be a theoretical draw. I never actually thought about this one, but looks like the computer thinks this is a draw, maybe. I kind of wouldn't like to be playing white here. I'm sure I would lose here if I played white. I don't know. I don't know actually. I think like this should be winning maybe for black, but I don't know. If there is, this should be like table base, but yeah, Lysias doesn't have it, but there should be possible to have a solution here who's winning that endgame. Let's see what happens instead. Gupta pushed the pawn, it makes sense. And here a4 was no hurry to take this bishop apparently, but of course, yeah, this. Okay, should have done something else. Now, yeah, I thought this was really interesting also. Of course, Gupta thinks this is a draw here, but it's actually a one endgame here for black because of kind of weird stuff here. It's lost, of course, now. Because of this maneuver here. It's threatening a mate here. And now, yeah, king hides behind the pawn. If, yeah, king just hides behind the pawn and it's going down. So I guess if he goes here, yeah, it's these tactics. This tactic is a nice one, and it's checkmate. Nice tactic. Good game by Gukesh. Next game we're looking at a game against other guys, I think. See you then.